Hello, my name is Wes Dawson, and of course, this is Gabagool, Nate, and what an episode to land on, as this is our annual episode to ring in the new year. New year, same shitty you. Now, this is a special time of year for many people, time to get together with family, time to get drunk beyond fucking recognition. Whatever you want to do as your annual tradition, go for it. All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty of this week's episode. Now, we're going to start this week's episode off with hard facts, mainly because this hard fact is kind of a blanket theme to 2021. And of course, I'm talking about how the Dunning-Kruger effect has basically become a staple of online communication. You know, the idea that skimming through a few headlines while dropping a deuce basically puts you on par with someone who has studied a particular subject their entire academic career is the most ridiculous thing I have seen develop. You know, this isn't purely with regards to the pandemic, but rather just sort of everything in general. Sports, cars, film, TV. It's amazing how little you know about anything until you head into a Facebook comment thread and get schooled by someone who can barely spell the word school. I think the saddest thing is that stupid people don't know that they're stupid because they don't possess the intellectual capacity to recognize that. So it's like they're living in a dream world. I envy them. I think that's much better. I'd rather live in a world of my own illusions where that Hulk Hogan audio clip was never released and things are just hunky-dory in the world. All right, well, we're going to move on to random question time. Of course, this is a question for people who put a province flag on your car. Now, you know who you are because there's only one place in Canada that does this. You do realize that your license plate identifies the province that you're from. Like, it very clearly states it. It has a little slogan about it. There's a picture of your symbol or whatever represents your province. Like, I don't quite understand. It's like having a Ford motor flag on your Ford vehicle. I think people get the picture. Another random question time has to do with American terrorist extremists. Now, would you ever really feel safe as the one white guy with a swaggy-ass ginger beard in an ISIS terror cell? You know, or like you join the Taliban? Like, do you ever feel like you're truly one of the gang? Come on. Like, being the first openly accepted black Jewish KKK member. You're telling me that you wouldn't be sweating bullets heading to the weekly cross burning? Come on. I don't know if those cross burnings were weekly or monthly. No, I wonder how frequent that was. You figure just logistically it'd be kind of hard to get everyone together at the same time without drawing suspicion and communication back then too. Anyway, I digress. I want to move on to a new segment dedicated to 2022 and dedicated to making all of our lives better, because one thing I've noticed the past few years is there's too much negativity. Now, I'm not talking about that bullshit online social media clout negativity like, oh, you have a different opinion than me, you're being toxic. Not that kind of stuff. I'm talking about legitimate negativity, hatred, misunderstandings. So I've created this new segment called Keep Your Chin Up, Positivity Corner. Well, I will scroll through various articles, social media postings, comment threads, and pick out the very best, the most uplifting, and the most optimistic things I can to try and brighten all of our days. So let's get into it. And that's it for Keep Your Chin Up Positivity Corner. So talking about how weird things are, how messed up the world is, look no further than the NHL. Now, you see, recently there was a player on the Montreal Canadiens, and by recently, I mean this is horribly out of date. I probably should have mentioned this like 2 months ago, but here we are. Logan Mailloux. Now, there's an overwhelming swell of support from the Habs for this young athlete. You know, he's apologized. We all make mistakes. Give the kid a break. It's just a couple of pictures. Now, if you're wondering what I'm talking about, it's because he had shared some rather risque photos of a former either girlfriend or friend of his, basically distributing these nude photos around because, hey, that is a move of integrity and character, and, you know, you should be applauded for such things. So if this player had been drafted by the Boston Bruins or the Toronto Maple Leafs, my God, the revolution of righteousness would rise up in Montreal. They'd likely burn half the city and then march on their rival team to denounce the hiring of such a degenerate piece of crap. But of course, That's not the case because they wanted his skills. So now the Canadians will be offering sensitivity training to their young recruits about sexual misconduct, consent, and sexual cyber violence, and all that other really fun stuff. I understand like the NBA offering financial management and planning courses for their young athletes. I think it's like almost 3/4 of them end up broke after leaving the NBA. You're a 20-year-old new millionaire. I understand this kind of support, and I think it provides an invaluable asset to these young athletes. Except for maybe PJ Washington. You don't need a seminar, you deserve a solid backhand. But ultimately, the thing for the Canadians is if you have to give a booster course on how not to be a piece of shit human being or not treating people who trusted you like sexual objects, you may have a bigger issue on your hands than you think, as you can't typically teach away those kinds of personality traits over the course of a couple weekends. Either way, thank God that the Habs player choices aren't restricted like that of their coaching staff. Well, we can't close out 2021 without a good bad. Starting off, masks at work. The good, well, when pinching off a deuce, you can't smell that swampy mess or have its condensation kind of form on your chin while you're squatting on the bowl. The bad, well, to boost office morale, I like to flick my tongue out and make sucking noises to the women in my office, hence some lucky men as well. But with the mask, all I do is get lint all over my tongue. A good, the pandemic has brought us closer together. The bad, not together as a whole, like sort of as little segmented groups. You got the conspiracy theory nutbags have united into one union of ignorance and fear. Others are standing on the sideline with their heads tilted like a confused dog, and some are wearing 3 masks while driving alone in their car. So there's a bunch of different camps, and I think they all need a swift fucking backhand, but that's just me. So a good, there's just the right number of people in bars now. Of course, as of today, the bars are all closed in Quebec. But at the time that I wrote this, the perfect number of people. I hate going into a bar and feeling perspiration on me like a fucking mister at the Lerone theme park. I can't stand that. The bad, it just sucks seeing any business struggle. A good, well, you can look at the individual health measures and be like, okay, I see why they did that. The bad, that if you compare any more than one together, they make absolutely no fucking sense. They say limit your family gatherings during the holidays unless you want to take the whole family to watch a hockey game and watch the Habs test the tensile strength at the back of their net. That's okay. And of course, if you want to question the asinine decisions made by our government, well, then you're just a bad Quebecer. Or sorry, let me do the better. Those that disagree are not good Quebecers. If you're wondering who that was, that's our fearless leader, Francois Legault. Christ, can someone get that man a fucking Red Bull for Christmas? Americans love to bitch about sleepy Joe Biden. Look at fucking Legault, for Christ's sake. I think the only reason he appears living is a result of rigor mortis and an intense disdain for minorities. And of course, this year at the top of the list of dumb shit people say who should be smarter, although I think I'll cut off that last part, just dumb shit people say, do your research. I'd like one fucking person who has said, do your research, to show me the fucking research you've done. I've done research for school. I've done research for work. I've done research to figure out ways to murder my neighbor. Either way, I've actually done the research, and you know what you build is a portfolio. Saying do your research isn't just a catch-all for, hey, I scrolled through my social media newsfeed today. I know what's going on. Well, my name is Wes Dawson. This is Gabagool Nate. I would like to thank you all so much for listening. Please stay positive. Have a little bit more patience, unless the person's really fucking dumb. But for the most part, cut people some slack. Let's make 2022 a, marginally better year than the last. And upcoming for next week, to help prepare for the 2021 Gabagool Nate End of Year Awards, we are going to tally up all of the violent and aggressive anti-vax rallies from across the globe over the past year, as well as all the violent and aggressive pro-vaccine rallies, and see who will take home the prestigious and inaugural award of Shithead of the Year in the category of This Won't Age Well. So thank you so much for listening. Please listen, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next week in 2022.